Hello, hello. Welcome in to the ASN Podcast. It's been a minute, but we are back with a lot of news to give you and great interviews and great content around the world of Armenian sports. And I'm joined with my host, Jason Takhtadjian, coming at you live from Fresno, California. Jason, how are you today?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. We're recording this on Mother's Day, so for anyone watching, happy Mother's Day to you all.
Absolutely. Happy Mother's Day to all of the moms out there who watch our content on ASN. And we're gonna take it back and recap the biggest news from the last couple of weeks. The biggest of which was our undefeated boxer Erik Bazinyan fought in a huge championship fight and still remained undefeated, but didn't get the win. Jason, what happened?
Yeah, a little bittersweet. I mean, Bazinyan stepping into the ring with a boxer by the name of Shaquille Finn. He's no slouch, but considering, the comparison between the two fighters, Bazinyan was the clear favorite. I mean, you're talking about a guy walking into this fight 32-0. He was touted to, make it, higher up into the rankings and start fighting some bigger names in the fighting scene. But after 140 consecutive wins in the amateurs and in the pro boxing scene, Bazinyan gets his first result that's not a win, which, it's a big shock to the system. It was, I'll show you guys, or I'll read the breakdown from the judges. It was 97-93 in favor of Finn from one judge. Another judge had it in favor of Bazinyan, 96-94. And then the final judge, 95-95. So that's why we have the draw here. And yeah, okay, it's not a loss, right? It's not the end of the world. But even Bazinyan himself, after the fight, was interviewed. And there's one quote that really stood out to me. It's really straight to the point. He goes, "For me, it's like a defeat." And yeah, that's where the controversy lies, because he didn't get the loss. They gave him a draw. And even Bazinyan himself was not impressed with his performance.
Typical boxing scoring with the judges' scorecards all over the place. One of the
Hmm.
main reasons why boxing is so dead these days. But I from what I heard, I didn't watch the fight. From what I heard, it was a lot of viewers, uh, sided with Shaquille on that fight, and Bazinian should have a blemish on his record right now, but he's still the champ, by virtue of the draw. Maybe we'll see a rematch down the road, but not a good result for Bazinian. And usually in boxing, the judges really want to see the opponent dominate the fight in order to strip someone of the belt. I don't know why, but that's kind of how boxing has been over the years.
Yeah.
Let's move forward to another very physical sport, the game of hockey. The Armenian national team, Armenia HC. Well, it's not the official Armenian national team yet. It's a team comprised of Armenians, started in Montreal, and now they're trying to expand to the West Coast. It's called Armenia HC. They are in conjunction, I guess, with the Armenian Ice Hockey Federation, and with the hopes of reigniting the Armenian national ice hockey team. They participated in the tournament, the Dream Nations Cup, which took place in New Jersey uh, in the end of April, and
Yes.
Armenia came away with a second place finish, with a loss to Algeria in the final. Very close. The championship was a very close match. They also played Algeria in the round robin stages of the tournament. That was also very close and very physical. Algeria came away with the win. In Algeria's roster was I looked at it, I actually recognized a guy who was a draft pick with the Ottawa Senators, Robbie Belargian, played for Boston University. I used to call his games. So my point is, they didn't have any slouches on that roster. Algeria, they had some good players, and Armenia was able to compete. I think another good result for Armenia. They won the Latin Cup, an NHL sanctioned tournament last summer in Florida, and now they finished second in this tournament, and they'll be participating in the Latin Cup in August again this year. So a lot to like there from the tournament, despite the two losses to Algeria. Jason, they let me pull up the schedule here. They had some dominating performances, defeating Central America 5-0. I guess this was a team comprised of Central American athletes. And then they beat Egypt 8-5. And in
Mhm.
the semifinal, they beat Egypt again 3-1. So a lot to like there. Good performance. And hopefully some more success going forward for Armenia HC.
Absolutely, and especially with more competition coming up, like Algeria, looks like we have a bit of a rival now, Armenia's ice hockey team. So I'm looking forward to the level of competition coming up, which would hopefully also result in the national team getting better and better.
Yeah, we had I don't know if you want to call her a correspondent, but we had a correspondent in at the at the Dream Nations Cup, Leslie Corgi Valenti. We've interviewed her before. She's a softball player and softball coach now, with Armenian background, and she happened to be in the area, so she went and kind of took some pictures and videos for ASN, and her remarks for the Armenia Algeria game were just it's just a very violent, physical game. And I wanted to tell her, Leslie, this isn't softball, this is hockey. Things get physical in hockey.
That old time hockey.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's good to see that. Before we move forward, I want to talk about something ASN is doing right now. It's a fundraiser for the Armenian Para Athletic Federation, led by Stas Nazarian. Stas is a 6-time Paralympian. He lost his legs during the Spitak earthquake in 1988. And since then, he trained in athletics and participated in 6 different Paralympics in 3 different sports, and sailing, wheelchair racing, and alpine skiing. So some of them were Winter Olympics. And now, after the Artsakh War, he's began to train wounded veterans from the Artsakh War and give them a new outlook on life through sports. And next month, there's a tournament in Czech Republic, the Czech International Para Athletic Championship, and 3 athletes, including Stas, will be going to participate. Unfortunately, the federation doesn't get the best funding from the Armenian government, and so they rely on donations. So ASN is holding a fundraiser. The link is, if you're watching this on YouTube, the link is in the caption on YouTube. So go check it out, donate, and help us out. And if you're watching on Instagram, the link is in the bio, and we'll be sharing it throughout our story throughout the week. So help Stas and his boys out there. It's a great cause, and it's a great way to help those who fought for Artsakh.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And with that, let's segue to our athlete spotlight of the week. And speaking of Artsakh and crazy things that happened on the eastern border of Armenia with Azerbaijan, my athlete I want to spotlight is a guy who did something this week. Wasn't in sports, but it was, we see this a lot happen a lot lately with athletes being activists and spreading awareness to a cause. And I want to shine a light on Armen Petrosyan, the UFC, who's a young fighter, has a pretty good start to his career, and he took to Instagram to give a message of solidarity to Armenians in Tavush. And obviously, if you haven't been following, the Armenian government is ceding territories on the eastern border to Azerbaijan, meaning that people who live in those areas probably have to leave soon as the Armenia gets ready to hand over those lands to Azerbaijan. But we don't have to get into detail. This is a sports channel, and you can do your own research and find out everything that's happening there. But anyway, Petrosyan, say, I, as a believing Christian and as an Armenian, unconditionally support our church. The Armenian church is, taking a stand for the people of Tavush as well. And he added, it was faith that allowed our ethnic group to survive through the depths of centuries. It was a church that allowed our people to survive during the period of loss of statehood. It was our clergy, whether during the time of Avarair or Sardarapat, who united the people in the face of the deadly war. So shout out to Armen Petrosyan for his message of solidarity. As far as I know, he was the only Armenian athlete to do so. So I think that's important to have a voice for the people who don't have a voice right now.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think he was the only athlete that I saw that so far has spoken up about what's going on right now.
Jason, any athlete that you want to highlight this week?
So we'll get back into the world of softball because I want to highlight sophomore Izzy Jamgotchian, who is absolutely just kicking butt. And this season, her sophomore season, 15 home runs and 22 runs scored. More specifically, there is one day that stands out with Izzy. Recently, her team played CSU Bakersfield, California State University Bakersfield, twice in one day. They had a
Doubleheader.
doubleheader. And two home runs in both matches. So she had 4 home runs in one day. I
Not
mean,
one,
not a lot of
not
people
two,
consider that.
not
Not
three.
one, not one, not two, not three, but 4 homers. And I mean, seriously, when we talk about a sport like softball, we still don't even know if Armenia has enough players right now to field a team because it's still so new. We're still in the process of discovering new athletes and seeing, who has interest in a sport that otherwise hasn't really had a lot of focus in Armenia proper, but in the diaspora, it's more widely um, common, especially in the United States.
Yes.
It's really cool to see other sports growing instead of the typical, soccer or combat sports or individual sports. And softball is something that, you know, not to be too punny, but it's a bit of a curveball sport for Armenians to be like, is this something that I'll be interested in watching? And it's a fun sport to watch. Izzy Jamgotchian, she definitely deserves that sort of praise. Again, it's only her sophomore season, and you're talking about just about tripling your home run output from your freshman to sophomore season. So I'm excited to see what she does next.
Yeah, and there's another athlete at the University of Central Florida, Sona Halajian, and she's unique in that not only does she hit, she also pitches. And there's so that's kind of what Shohei Ohtani does for the Dodgers
Yeah.
or Babe Ruth. So it's very rare to have someone who pitches and hits. So there's a lot of names out there. People just don't know about them. That's why we're here to introduce you to them. And maybe one day Armenia will have a national softball team. And like you said, it's an uncommon sport, just like baseball. And we're seeing it grow more in the Armenian community. Armenia does have there's a rich history of Armenians playing baseball throughout the last 60, 70 years. And speaking of which, there's two brothers right now on University of Maryland, Eddie and Chris Hakopi, and I had the chance to go to their game this past weekend at Boston College, and I got to meet them, got to meet their father, who was also a draft pick by the Cleveland Indians in the MLB. And what a great family. I'm cooking up an exclusive feature on them, and you'll be able to see that on our YouTube page and our Instagram. So stay tuned for that. But until then, we want to introduce you to another great young athlete. I guess calling it full circle, we started with hockey and we kind of started with hockey, but we talked about the Dream Nation Cup, and we're going to finish with hockey. I spoke with, I had the chance to speak with Boston College defenseman Aram Minnetian. What a great kid, Jason. You'll be able to hear it in the interview. He and the Boston College Eagles advanced all the way to the national championship game in college hockey and lost to Denver. But regardless, they had an amazing season. He had an amazing freshman season. He's also a draft pick by the NHL's Dallas Stars. So he has a bright future ahead of him in professional hockey. And he took a moment out of his busy schedule. It's actually finals week at Boston College. He took a moment out of his busy schedule to talk to me about his season. And what a great conversation that was. And you can listen in now. Andre Khatchaturian of Armenian Sports News, joined by our guest of the ASN podcast this week, Boston College defenseman Aram Minnetian, coming fresh off of his first collegiate season. And what a year it was, Aram. Thanks for joining us on the podcast today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
An amazing year, as I mentioned, 3 goals, 5 assists, and helping lead Boston College all the way to the Frozen Four championship game, where you guys just fell short. But regardless, it was an amazing season for you, amazing start. What takeaways do you have from your freshman year?
Yeah, it was a great year. A lot of learning, great experience. I mean, the older guys on our team taught us so much. It's stepping up a level, moving from juniors to college, but there's so much to be learned, especially from, like I said, those older guys, upperclassmen, guys who have been here a few years, like the habits, what it takes to really perform and stay at the top of your game through a long season, through a rough season, and what it takes to really make it to the end. Yeah.
And just throughout this your first year, obviously playing for a prestigious university like Boston College, you get a chance to play in the Beanpot in February, which
Yeah.
is a
Yep.
huge event amongst the four big Boston schools: Northeastern, Boston College, Boston University, and Harvard. It's a four-team tournament. What was that experience like, playing at TD Garden in an NHL arena, and just kind of getting your first flavor of that?
Yeah, so right away out of the gate, we've been having home games to start the season, and the crowd was unbelievable. I remember some of the guys telling me that this was not what the crowd was like the past couple years, that we were selling out our first 3 or 4 games. We were playing big teams, but it was just like electrifying. The school was showing up and rallying in support. And I remember people saying, like, I was overwhelmed, and I thought, not overwhelmed, but I was just ecstatic, and I thought it was absolutely incredible how many students and how big hockey was on campus, and the life around the hockey team. But I remember people telling me, like, this is nothing compared to what the bean pot will be at TD Garden. And I was always like, yeah, okay, like, I don't really know how it can get that much better than this. And then that first game against Boston University on the ice, it was just, the whole stadium was packed. The lower bowl was packed, the upper bowl was packed with half BU students, half BC students just shouting at each other, and you could hear it on the ice. And it was just one of the most electrifying atmospheres I've ever played in. And I was like, all right, now I know what they're talking about. This is what the Bean Pot is. This is what Boston hockey is. And I mean, we've had unbelievable crowds at home, but I have to say, nothing like playing in the Garden in Bean Pot against BU, the rivals, and it was incredible.
And the rivalry this year, I feel like, was even more amped up than usually. I mean, it's always a big rivalry, BU BC, but
Yeah,
one of the games, it was number one versus number two in the
yeah,
country. And tickets were selling for hundreds of, like a Stanley Cup playoff game. It was nuts. What was that experience like? Your first taste of the rivalry. Obviously, you played them in the Beam Pop, but then you had the Hockey East games, and then you guys saw each other a ton. Did that
yeah.
kind of make the rivalry even more amped up?
Yeah, it was. So there's always that BUBC hatred, that rivalry that everyone talks about. And I mean, there's another level of student turnout when we played BU. So that was always awesome. But I think the thing this year was that BC and BU we were top teams the entire year. And I remember, I don't think we played them. The first time we played them was the weekend before the meme pot, weekend or two before the
Yeah.
meme pot. We had the home and home. And I mean, we both had incredible seasons leading up to that, trading off number one and number two. And it was the first time that it was one versus two in
Yes.
those games. And so that just added to the rivalry, and just the seasons we had been having added to the rivalry. And it just created this um unbelievable atmosphere and all this hype for that game. And then we played them at home, and we came out with a big win. And then we went into their building the next day and came out with another big win. And it was a weekend that just catapulted our season, and was a big highlight of the season. And then that led into the Bean Pot, and the crazy atmosphere and the crazy energy that came with the Bean Pot. And us winning, I think, really gave our school that, like, excitement, and gave the students what they needed to really want to go to the Bean Pot even more.
So you get that success of beating BU, finishing number one overall, having early success in the Hockey East tournament and in the national tournament. Then you get to the championship game, and from all the success you had, you hit a wall and you lose that championship game. What is that feeling like? You experience the highs and then you experience the lows. Like what was that? What did that feel like for you?
Yeah, so it was to be honest, it was heartbreaking losing that championship game and an unbelievable season ending like that. I remember we had this belief in the locker room leading up to it that like true belief that we were going to win. We knew it was going to take hard work. We knew we hadn't lost a ton, and when you lose, you learn a lot. But I think when we lost that game in the Beanpot against BU, it felt heartbreaking, and it gave us that energy to that we needed to, and the feeling and the bitterness to really push through the rest of the season. I think that's why we had such an incredible season after that, winning Hockey East and really just making our way through regionals, then beating Michigan in the semifinals of the Frozen Four, and it prepared us all the way to that championship game. And at the end of the day, I think we were ready going into that game, and and it was a tough game. I mean, Denver's a great team, and I think we're just as good as them, if not better, and we could have won that game. But at the end of the day, not it's that's what's tough about playing one game. Things don't always go your way, and at the end of the day, we ran into a hot goalie, couldn't finish, and I mean, it was just heartbreaking at the end when we lost, especially because we knew we had what it took to win and be a championship team, and we really believed we would.
I understand. So for you personally, we talked about your team achievements. Let's talk about your own personal achievements right now. How do you evaluate your first year playing collegiately?
Yeah, I mean, I thought I had a great first year. Really feel like I had a really big role and earned it throughout the year, and was able to really grow my game defensively and have a really big role come the second half of the season, especially the end of the season. And credit to my coaches and just the team for giving me the opportunity and helping me to really find that game defensively, and be able to become the player that I knew I could be for the team this year, and grow into that player was was awesome. And I felt I had a great season, contributed a lot, and it was a great start to my collegiate career. I set a foundation for my first year that I'm looking going to look to build on going into my next few years and in the rest of my career.
And obviously, one other tournament that you were able to participate in was representing Team USA in the World Junior Championships. What was that like to be called up and be part of that team that ended up winning gold in Sweden?
Yeah, so when I got called to play for it, I was like ecstatic. Anytime I can go represent the United States, I'm never going to say no, and it's always an unbelievable experience. You get to play high-end hockey, be with brothers that you've been with in the past, and just represent your country. There's really no feeling like that. And going to a foreign country and competing. But I didn't play when I was out there, but it was still an unbelievable experience. I got to be around such a great group of guys, learn so much, practice with them, get better, and really see what it was like to play probably the most high-end hockey around this age group, and be a part of an unbelievable team. And it was great that we got the win, and we won a World Junior Championship. That was unbelievable, and I think it's going to set me up to be able to play for the team next year, and yeah, go compete and try and win another one.
Maybe have a bigger role as well. 1 year in the books, when you're experiencing the books, hopefully have a bigger role in that as well.
Yeah,
Uh,
100%.
yeah. So Aram, you obviously were drafted by the Dallas Stars last offseason, and they just had won a big Game 7 this past weekend, advancing into the second round. How closely do you follow the Stars? I know you're just been drafted by them. You're obviously doing your collegiate career right now. Do you follow closely, or how does that work out?
Yeah, I try to watch as many games as I can. I've pretty much watched all the playoff games. I love playoff hockey, so I haven't just watched the Stars. I've watched all the games, as
Yeah.
many games I can catch, and watched the Stars game last night when they beat Vegas in Game 7, and it was it was a it was a nail biter, but it was a great game. I thought they
Yeah.
played awesome, and it's fun to watch such a great team with so many great players that you can learn from just by watching on TV. And I mean, I look forward to the future and hopefully being able to be a part of that team.
So, with your career 1 year in the books, what's been like the biggest challenge for you on and off the ice? Is it maybe balancing schoolwork with athletics? Maybe it's something in your game that you want to improve. What's been the biggest challenge for you?
Yeah, so in the beginning it was a little bit of an adjustment coming into college, because Boston College is obviously prestigious university, and coming in and having to balance academics with the intense hockey schedule, and also getting to enjoy yourself in college, because of course you always want to do that. And college is a great place to be a kid and enjoy yourself. And at first it was learning it was time management. That was really the biggest thing I had to learn. But eventually I got in a routine, love having my routine. I got in a routine where every day I was doing what I needed to get better and make the most of every single day of hockey, and really take steps in my game, getting better, practicing, getting in the shooting room, lifting, everything. And then learning once I've done, there's only so much you can do in a day. So once I've done all that I can do and put in the work that day, to move on and take some time for classes, to get schoolwork done, and strive to be great in the classroom too. And then during the week, maybe finding some time, a day or two, to enjoy myself, and spend some time with friends, make some friendships, and then enjoy being in college. And then really we would enjoy ourselves that day we had off after our games, after the night after the games. We would always be together as a team, enjoying college, and really spending time to enjoy BC. So I think the balance was the biggest thing, but I was able to learn from all the older guys at how they manage it, and they put you in a position to succeed. So I think that really helped me and allowed me to maximize my first year and enjoy it in every aspect, not just on the ice.
Absolutely. It sounds like a well-balanced life. Just trying to learn how to balance everything.
Yeah, yeah,
Adulting.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Aram, so one question I want to ask is, UNH is in the Hockey East. You guys played them a couple times. I couldn't help but notice there's another fellow Armenian on the New Hampshire's roster, Steven Sardarian. Did you get a chance to talk to him during the games or before the game or anything like that about your heritage with him? Or is that when you're in the game, you're just in the game, you're focusing on hockey?
Yeah, when you're in the game, you're in the game. You're focusing on hockey. I think we reached out to each other through via Instagram, because we saw that something was posted on the Armenian Sports account about both of us. So it was funny. I think at one of the face-off dots, I said, you're Armenian too," and he like looked at me and laughed. But yeah, I mean, I feel like whenever you know someone's Armenian, I mean, Boston has an unbelievable Armenian community too. So whenever you know someone else is Armenian, it's like a connection in our family, and everyone's always welcoming and happy. So it was cool to be able to play against another Armenian and see him do very well with his career in hockey.
Yeah, he's drafted by the Sabres a few years back, so maybe he has a future in the NHL as well.
Yeah, hopefully.
That was really cool to see. I came to one of those games, the BC UNH game at Conti, and I noticed you guys lined up in the face-off circle together. So I thought that was cool. So what's that been like for you? Have you kind of explored the Armenian community in Boston? I know you just mentioned freshman year is so busy with adjusting to college and your athletic schedule. Have you kind of gotten to explore Watertown or anything like that in the Boston area?
Yeah, I got to explore a little bit. To be honest, would have liked to more, but at the end of the day, it was so busy that I don't really know how much time I would have had to. But the one thing that I got to explore is through one of the previous coaches here at Boston College, Coach Jerry York, recommended this Armenian bakery in Watertown, like 5-10 minutes off campus. So one day, me and my dad decided to go there, and we met the owner and he told him I played at Boston College. We knew Coach York, and I was Armenian too, and developed a really good friendship with them. I think I've been 4 or 5 times since throughout the year. My dad has become good friends with Murat, the owner, and I actually went to a Bruins game with him. He invited me to game.
That's
I think
amazing.
it was game two, or I think two. It
Against
was
Toronto?
Yeah, it was at home. It might
Yeah.
have been three, or no, I think it was
It was
two.
game two because
Yeah,
they had home advantage. So it was
yeah, exactly. Yeah, yep, definitely. So they invited me to game two, sat in a box with them, and got to spend some time with him. And I mean, they're just amazing people. The bakery I love stopping there.
Sevon Bakery.
Yeah, Savon Bakery. It's
Yeah, very
un
great food there.
unbelievable food. Yeah, unbelievable, and even better people too. So if you ever get the chance and you're in the town, stop in.
Absolutely. Sevon Bakery is a standard for me, and Eastern
Yeah,
Lamajun too. You got to check that one out. And
100%.
back in the day, there was a deli. Jerry York would go there all the time. You would see his picture on the wall. It was called the
Cool.
Meat Spot. It was a deli called the Meat Spot, owned by Armenians. They ended up
Cool.
selling their business, but when you walked in, you would see Jerry York signed memorabilia everywhere.
Yeah,
He was
yeah.
he was I guess a regular there. That's
Yeah.
so cool. Maybe talk to the audience about your Armenian heritage, your background. I know in the previous interview you kind of talked about it already, but for
Yeah.
the audience who may have not heard that interview, you're New Jersey Armenian, and tell us about your family and how you were raised and things of that nature.
Yeah. So growing up, I was raised in an American family that was always in touch with our Armenian heritage. Always taught us, always, or my parents always taught us that we were American, but we were also Armenian. And we grew up going to an Armenian church where I got to get in touch with a really amazing community of people at the Armenian church. It was Armenian Presbyterian Church, I think was the name of it, and just a great group of people, and develop friendships with people who felt like family. And eventually went to a sleepaway camp for 3 or 4 years called Camp Nubar, an Armenian camp where I just loved being a kid there, got to make Armenian friends, and just again be a part of another Armenian community, because having that heritage in common is just it makes for such a great start to a relationship, and it feels like you're part of a family. So that was awesome. And I mean, I've always been in touch with that Armenian background. I like love Armenian food. I have grandparents that make some pretty great Armenian food, so always been in touch with it, and always happy to give back or contribute or be a part of the Armenian community, because I won't lose sight of me being Armenian too.
Absolutely. And I don't know if maybe you've had the chance to meet him. He's probably more involved with the football program, but former Patriots, who's the director of head coach administration, Berj Nigerian, he just
Mhm.
got hired at Boston College.
Oh,
I don't know if
cool.
you've had the chance to meet him yet or whatnot. I'm sure he's probably more involved in the football program, but he's
Yeah,
also been very involved in the Northeastern Armenian community at Camp Hayastan. So uh,
cool. Yeah.
yeah, it's great to see that, and I love that. There's not just, oh, I'm Armenian, but the awareness too to kind of be a part of the community as well.
Yeah. Yep, definitely.
Aram, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule. Good luck on your finals, and we can't wait to see what you do next season. And congratulations on an excellent first year and an amazing run, and hopefully continued success going forward in the future for you.
Sounds good. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Aram. And what a great conversation that was. Aram Minnetian, can't wait to see what he does in the future in his sophomore year, hopefully in an NHL career. There aren't any Armenians. Well, there's still Zach Bogosian, but he's getting up there in age. So there aren't many Armenians in the NHL right now. So hopefully he'll be one of many more to come. Jason, thank you so much for helping run this show again. And thank you to all our viewers. And we'll be back again next week, Jason.
Always a pleasure.